All right, good morning, everybody. Long time no see. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you all had a great weekend. And if you would be so kind as to type into the chat, make sure you can hear me. Hey, Johnny. How's everything with you? Great, glad to hear that. All right, so I know I came in a minute or two early. I'm gonna let people get a chance to get settled in, and we'll get started. Market's about to open any moment. All right, so do a quick review here. Everyone should be on the September contracts for crude and unleaded gas. A little bit of a rough start. This is the micro crude. Really great move right at 9 a.m. It just went too fast, unfortunately. And after that explosive move up, it got pretty dicey, as you can see. And basically the setup's a bit out of sync with this up down kind of rolling over pattern here. So anyone trading crude oil probably had a tough time. Looks like there's a few, like this short trade went too fast to execute. This long trade would have been the winner again, but that one I think also too fast. We can come back and look at this again. The full contract wasn't any better. Just really hard. So I'm just wondering if anyone had any success with the early part of the session with crude oil. Looked like it was pretty rough. So market's opening here. We're going to pay attention to the Dow Mini and to soybeans. The two charts on the right. Good morning to you, John. So the YM's already in a long trade, so we'll have to wait for a new setup there. Soybeans has a short. Looks like it just went through and hit a target, so we're going to have to wait on a new setup for that as well. And there it is. It's a short on soybeans, 1372, targeting 69.50 and 68, triggering in. The stop's at 1376. And the YM now flat, so we'll see what the next setup is on that. And soybeans, unfortunately, hitting a stop and blowing through a long trade. And you could still get the entry if it pulls back. There's a long on the YM as well. YM's at 31,395. Soybeans went too fast, so you're going to have to wait on that. And the YM, if it comes back down, 31,567. That one may have went too fast too. Yeah, it did. Looks like we may miss the YM as well. That one went too fast. And I mean, it didn't hit its money management yet. It could pull down and hit the entry, but it didn't. So fast action Monday. Some setups here that are just too quick to grab. We'll have to wait for another one. Yeah, it's too bad. Sometimes it's like that, especially on a new contract. We don't have a new contract on these two symbols, but definitely with the energies. But Mondays, a lot of stuff happens over the weekend and causes the markets to move erratically right at the open. Just gonna have to wait. There's a short on the YM that's at 31,584. Now it's canceled. In fact, now we have a long 31,601. 31. Oh, that one went too fast. Let's see how fast everything is. Be careful, guys. That 31,601 is good if it comes up, but now there's a short, and the short is at 31,574. That's the new trade, 31,574. 31,574. Targeting 31,540. And it's pushing lower. The stop is at 616. Let's see if we can get through that 50 moving average. You can see it throwing up some support right there. And a short on soybeans. Make it push through to 1380 and 3/4. 1380 and 3/4. Make it push through 1381, I think, since it already touched that level. And if that does trigger in, it would be targeting 1379. Stop is at 1384 and a half. You can see the other targets there, 1377 and 3/4, 1376 and a half. The soybeans is up pretty strong this morning. Definitely trending higher. We're going to want it to push through one tick lower to get in. That might save us from getting in. And there's a new long on soybeans. So that one triggering in. 1384 and a quarter, guys. Cancel the short. 1384 and a quarter, targeting 1386 and a half, and the stop's at 1380.5. So erratic price action on everything. Look at the Dowie minis. First it's going up, then it bounces down really fast. And soybeans again. Soybeans 1385 would 1380 and 3/4 should be your stop. If you want to take one more trade, you can get short there. Soybeans rather erratic. Still long though. Maybe it'll hang on. And the YM pushing lower. That 50 moving average, hopefully now support becomes resistance and we can push lower. Looks like that's kind of happening there before our eyes. The long on soybeans still going. There's a possible short. And the YM hitting its money management. Move your stops to break even. And one tick shy of full target. You might want to trade for profit, missing full target by one tick. Don't let it get away from you. There it is. Full target reached. The YM, after all that erratic behavior, is going to be one and done, right? Were we able to catch any of these other trades? Were too fast. It's a short trade that we were able to grab and it hit the target right on the nail. And the soybeans pushing higher, still in the green trade here. Testing that swing high. And the YM still hanging in there. Let's see, the stop would be at 73. And it did not hit 73. Came as high as 70. So the YM still hanging in there. So a bit of a challenging session, but hanging in with this trade plan. No time to think. You just got to execute. And the YM delivering the goods at least with that minimum target, that target 1. and now stopping out. Stop move lower too quickly, but target 1 was all it would give us. 34 points. It's $170 a contract. And soybeans, whoops, in this setup here, just trying to break through and make a new swing high. It looks like it's trying to push through there, and we got to get to target 1 for our minimum goal. Let's mark it. Be good for 2.5 points if we can get there. Let me know if anyone has any questions. Welcome back to Monday. Thanks, John. Man. Let me know, is anyone in soybeans? Did anyone take advantage of that Dowie mini setup? Good morning to you, Michael Embry. Look at soybeans, came up and hit its target. So soybeans, with a number of trades that were too quick to execute on, and then the one we're able to grab is the one that hits its target. I don't know, maybe if you got short here, that was a loser. So it went from this loser into this winner. And then, obviously, once it hit target 1, got to move your stop to break even, and it stopped out. So you have to decide if you're going to take another trade, and if so, it's a short at 13.82 and a quarter. I would go down one more tick, though, since it already touched that entry. Go to 13.82 even and get short if you can take another trade. Let's see if this uptrend is finally slowing down. It did break out to new highs and fail to follow through. It could set up a strong move in the opposite direction here. 13.82.5. Targeting 13.78.5, and the stop at 13.87.5. And the stop is up above the high of the day there. The minimum, Don, if it's more than, I mean, you have to decide how many ticks you're going for. More than five ticks or greater. I forget the exact parameters, but that's pretty much what we do in here. Obviously, target 2 is preferred, but if you're only going with a single contract, the target 1 sure wins a lot. Okay, so it has to be 6 ticks. Yeah, I knew it was 5 or 6. It's kind of optional to the trader to decide, but 6 ticks is fine. I think that's a good number. So if anyone's trading soybeans, let me know. That last trade could have been power of quitting if you missed any of the prior short. The prior short lost, of course. So I thought maybe we could look at what happened on this chart here. This is a larger chart on the NQ. I think it works really well. With the micro, gives you more time to think and react. Waiting your 4 minutes, this would have been the first trade here. And that one, of course, hit. The target one is 16.5 points. Is that acceptable? If not, then you get break even. Excuse me. Then this one here and this one, it looks like it hit its stop before advancing. And then the short trade, and the short trade got down to target 2. And that's good for 28.5 points. Again, it's a larger chart. It definitely helps slow things down, making it easier to execute on. And there's a long setup on soybeans with a 2-tick adjustment up to 13.86 1/4. So if anyone's short, you need to move your stop up to your stop down to 13.86 1/4, and unless you just want to try to hang in there above the high of the day, but this could make new highs here. So soybeans has been up so far since we started, and yeah, it stopped out. So I don't know if anyone's in that or not, but that's pretty much all she wrote there. And on the micro Russell, is anyone trading this? Pretty big move up into the open. First trade is going to lose, and the second trade is a nice winner hitting all 4 targets. And the third trade also just hit target 4. So opening up with a fast losing trade, but then 2 scalp and runs with no runs, but nice scalps. So the scalp targets are pretty good because they have good risk-reward ratios. You risk 19 ticks to make 21, 28, and 36 ticks to targets 2, 3, and 4. And then same with the long, it's similar. It's actually this. Well, the target's a little bigger, a little smaller, I mean. But close. It's still good. R to R's. You have risking 19 ticks to make 20, 28, and 35 ticks. And I don't know, maybe the calculator is not set to the automation because it looks like it stopped out here before coming up to hit its targets, but the automation picked it up. So yeah, there may be an input that's not right. I don't know. That looks like it went fast enough. Yeah, it looks like it may have stopped out without hitting those targets. It would have been a break even or small loss actually. To double check those, but you could see the potential depending on how you handle it. With the custom Renko, you can get bars that are almost like 1 tick shy of double the length of the bar, because if it comes down but misses the length by 1 tick and then goes up again and closes up, you get a pretty long bar. It's almost almost 3 points. It is 3 points. I don't know if anyone has any questions about anything, let me know. This custom Renko here that I'm showing you in the bottom left corner actually came from another member who's been having a lot of success with it. It's a slightly different formula because the offset is 1/4 the size of the bar, right? 12 tick, a 12 point, I mean. It's a 12-point bar and a 3-point offset. Check that. Yeah. So definitely larger. You can see how it slows everything down. Just got to be careful of your risk parameter. So let's see, depending on what you're trading with. So this is one of the great things about Catapult Trader. You can put in your account size. So here I have a $5,000 account size, for example, and I want to risk 2% per trade. And this is just the same configuration I had on the faster chart. I didn't change anything. I don't know if it hasn't been optimized or anything, but it seems to work really well. And when the trade sets up with a $5,000 account, this setup, which is a 12-point Renko, right? It's risking 15.5 points. So on a micro, instead of $20 a point, you're only risking $2 a point. So with a $5,000 contract, it lets you trade 3 micros at 2% of your $5,000 value. So it's nice to be able to put the right position size on. It's a really great benefit that Catapult Trader offers in the calculator so that you can quickly put the position size on. And you could set up templates and quick buttons that you could push to quickly grab the number of contracts. Like, it's all doable. And wow, the stop held barely. So it's risking 15.5 points, but look at the R to R's to the scalp targets. You got 1.84, 2.61, 3.39. Those are fantastic returns. You risk 15.5 points to target 2, you're making 28.5. Just that by itself is a nice trade, and it gets there a lot. But look at targets 3 and 4, 40 points, 52. You know, you're talking $2 a point. This one's still going. And then John put in the Unirenko settings to match this chart. So if you're using NinjaTrader and you want to set up this chart, the numbers there are 12, 36, 84. So a little bit different inputs there, but that's the equivalent chart with NinjaTrader. So here's another idea. Notice that I have the Counterpunch Trader dots on there and the Catapult targeting. Well, you could run this with Counterpunch Trader. Obviously, you would need your signal line and It's going to be a little different, but you might try it and see how it goes. You could also use the targeting and just manually draw them if you've got the quick tools set up, and go with counterpunch. It's going to give you a wider stop, obviously. It's going to give you bigger targets, and it's not going to give you your contract numbers, because that's not in counterpunch. It's in catapult. Andrew, you just got to open up the Unirenko and put in those three numbers in the order. You know, the first number 12, the second number 36, the third number 84. Just hit target 4, by the way. So let's see. I was just about to say, oh yeah, so here's an idea for you. This guy has been doing great with this idea. Let me see if I could set it up and share it with you. Second, he uses the trend mode indicator. Let's see if we can do it the way he explained it. There's several ways to do this, but here's an idea you can try. For those of you who like to fast test and maybe eventually get to your UTA spreadsheet, you could try this. You could put on the counterpunch trend mode indicator and put on a 50 instead of a 20. Like so. And the way he's doing it is he's just going long when the line is blue, and he's going short when the line is red. So obviously there's going to be times when you get some sideways, but the line was blue here when it got long. This one was blue, so he would have avoided it. Same with this, was red. So by the time it turned blue, it was already closing above. He would have avoided that. So the idea is catching the big trend, you know, again, scalp and run. You get big runners. So like he was showing me this over the weekend and sending me examples, and it was pretty impressive. So just going back to a random day, this is going into the session on the 13th, whatever day that was. Trying to get to 8:30. So like here it turns blue, and then it stabs down and gives you a chance to get in. And there's a beauty, right? So here it's still blue. You're not going to get short here, even though it would have been good. It would have been really good. It's okay. You don't need to catch everything. The red keeps you flat. I don't know this is a good idea. He's just showing me how he does it. Here's a short trade here. Obviously, you don't catch everything. That one didn't work. So he's definitely avoiding these shorts. Then he's able to grab the long trade. It's worth testing. It's an interesting thought. It's a good idea. I think. I don't know. But sometimes if you take a setup like this, oh, by the way, he is using Counterpunch Trader and not Catapult. Just, I forgot to mention that. So where Catapult Trader looks like it stops out, Counterpunch Trader would not have stopped out in many cases, right? Because the stop is further away. So, yeah, I forgot to mention that side of it. But here's the bigger point. You take a strategy, a chart that looks like it produces some really nice trades, some nice moves. Obviously, there's losers in there too, and you want to try to avoid some of them if you can. You don't try to avoid all of them, because that's just not possible. You just need to avoid some of them so that you could quit positive on your session a majority of the time with minimal trading. I mean, that's the formula. Don't ever forget that. And so by adding an extra element, an extra piece of price action confirmation, those are the words that you need to focus on. Write it down. An extra piece of price action confirmation, whatever it is, or a number of things that would work well to give you one extra piece of confirmation. One, not too many, one. And that's going to be enough to filter out most of the losers and get you in on most of the winners so that you can quit your trading with a positive result and move on with your day. All right, so that's a pretty important piece of information with all trading, really, because my strategies give you good entries, give you good targets, give you the whole plan from start to finish. But a lot of our advanced members are doing better by making it their own, taking ownership of it, and adding that one little piece extra, whatever it is. You know how to test it. Taught you guys how to fast test. I've taught you guys how to do the UTA. From that, you chase down your own ideas and you make it your own, because the traders who are succeeding are the ones that take ownership of their trading. They lay the foundation first. They prove it to themselves first before they risk their money. And there are infinite numbers of ways to trade successfully. What you want to do is avoid trading unsuccessfully, right? So sometimes you take a strategy, you make it your own. Like, that's a key to success. It's a key. You make it your own. And if you add that one extra element, whatever it is, like, this is a pretty nifty idea. You're trading in the direction of the larger trend as demonstrated by the 50 moving average. Is that the best indicator for this chart with Catapult? It probably isn't the best. There's probably a better one. But you don't need the best. You just need something that's efficient, adequate, and that you could execute on. And that will win more than it loses, right? All stuff that you can prove to yourself. So how do you set up the red blue line, please? Steve, that's the trend mode indicator in Counterpunch. Do you have Counterpunch? If you don't, just put on a 50 EMA and watch its slope if it's going up or down. I mean, yeah, the red and blue is a really nice thing to have, but you could use a number of things to give you the same information. What basically the idea that indicator is doing is having you trade in the direction of the prevailing trend. Now, that's a simple moving average, a 50 simple moving average. Maybe an exponential moving average would work better. I don't even have a red blue line exponential. I only have the simple. JP Morgan, no, it's not. Well, I don't know. The one I showed you was taking the faster one we've been watching. I mean, I can go over these inputs with you if you want, but there's also the faster. Let me find it. Whoops. Yeah. The faster one was the 6 and the 2, right? The 6 point with the 2 offset. And this one's super fast and maybe too fast. And that's why with the micro and the $2 a point, slowing it down with a larger size chart might be a better idea. But this one actually tested really well. If you wait your 4 minutes, I think. I didn't put the indicator on here. Let's put that indicator on here and kind of compare. I'll let you know what these inputs are. All I did was copy and paste this chart. I didn't change any of the inputs. Nothing's been optimized from this chart. But it's not custom. Custom is way too fast. A two tick entry is just going to get you chopped up. You won't even get it executed, and when you do, the trade will already be over. It'll move too fast, in other words. So I'll show you this in a minute. Let me get that indicator on here. See, it's a counterpunch trader MA, and it's changing the length from the default of 20 to 50. Now maybe 20 is a better setting. Maybe something in between. 50 was just kind of shoot from the hip, try it out, and oh wow, it worked pretty well type of thing. So the way he was doing it, let's just say he's getting long here. He's not going to get short here. Why? Because the line is blue. Now maybe it would have stopped out. Yeah, it would have stopped out. So the line is blue. We got long again there. But is it too fast? Probably. It's really fast. He would have missed the short. We already saw that. Would have missed the long. Again, this is a faster chart, but he's filtered out like a lot of these trades here if you're using this faster chart. See where the next trade would have been using this idea. Yeah, I mean, he's using counterpunch trader, so I'm going to just take a stab at this and say the next trade would have been this one. Whoops. Right there. Because the line turned red, the entry would have been here. But, of course, these are catapult settings. But that would have been a winner, you see. All right, so anyway, if you're interested in what these inputs are, and we can go back to the other slower chart. The difference is, for sure, in the entry and the stop. It's a 6-tick entry and an 8-tick stop, and then also the targets. The targets are much larger, and that's where your favorable risk-reward ratios come from. So, Steve, you like, the 20 and the 50. Okay, so you have CPX2. You should have got the moving average as part of it. I mean, I made it a bonus. I'm not sure when, so I don't know if you have it or not, actually. I don't remember when stuff happens. It all blends together for me. And it was not part of the Counterpunch Express. It's in the Counterpunch Trader calculator. You can literally turn it on and off so that the calculator knows if it's red or blue. And it won't tell. It'll give you a gray trade, like it's a filter. So with Counterpunch Trader and the automation, you could run an optimization backtest and backtest the trend mode indicator for a specific chart and get the best speed, the best input over X amount of trades. Look back as far as you can with a start time and a power of quitting formula and all that. That'd be how I would use those tools to give me a big picture. Give me the big picture answer. So I would need to set up an actual Counterpunch Trader chart with this custom Renko 12. Well, this is a 6.2, but anyway, if you want to write this down, there's also a fixed target at 156. Remember, these are ticks, not points. So 156 ticks is a fixed target. You could see on this green trade, it's up above here, above target 4, but on this green trade, it's just above target 3. So you can see the size of those trades changing. But one thing, let me explain this for a second. The way I set up the fixed target, I set it up as like a maximum excursion level. One of the tricks you can do with the optimization is go with, you have to look at your optimization report and know what to look for, what pieces of information you want to focus in on. But if it hits 156, chances are the trailer is not going to go much further. In fact, it'll pull back down and hit the trailer. And so I use that fixed target to maybe exit a trailing position because it acts as a maximum excursion target, like the furthest that is likely to go on average. Does that make sense? Don, I am showing catapult inputs for this, for for the 6 point with the 2 offset. So then it also has to go 44 ticks. So it has to hit target 1 and achieve 11 points before break even, before moving your stop to break even. And that's important too, because otherwise the wick on the bar will take you out of the trade too soon and you miss the big explosive moves. That's why this is probably better for micro, because if you go full size, you have to have a much larger account and you have to be careful. There's another stop movement, and that's the trailer. So the trailer, this is another interesting input. See, this is unique to Catapult. It's not the same as the other strategies. Catapult says, well, some of the other strategies have this too, but Catapult says what percentage to target 1 needs to be achieved before beginning to trail. And the way Catapult works, it begins trailing the 14 EMA, which is that lilac purple line, right? That's a 14 EMA, and that's the first default trailer on Catapult. So it has to go 2 times target 1. Well, target 1 has been altered. Target 1 is now 1.5x. Notice I added more to each of the targets. And because the market's explosive and you need those bigger targets, and that helps substantiate the amount of risk and all that. That's where you get those really good risk-reward ratios with the scalp size targets for the scalp and run idea. All right, but this says you have to go 200% of target 1. So that would be 2 times 1.5x, right? So it would be at 3x. There is no 3x as far as our price targets. There's a 1.5, a 2.5, a 3.5. So really, to start trailing, it has to get to halfway between targets 2 and 3, because that's where 3x lives, right? You have 2.5x, 3.5x. 3x is double target 1. And so right at halfway between targets 2 and 3 is when the trailer begins. But it also has to achieve, and it pretty much does every time, but it has to at least have gone 12 ticks, 4 points, obviously, with this market. That's kind of a moot point. You could also implement the other trailing tools. You could start trailing one of the cat lines. You could start doing a 3-bar or 1-bar stop, and that's really good on explosive moves. Again, it could be that when you hit your fixed target, and I don't know how you would set that as an X factor, because it's not a fixed target. It's a multiplier, but it could be a certain X, 8X, 9X, 10X, whatever. You could start doing a 1-bar stop. And that way it really clamps up on the stop, and you take advantage of that spike move and get out aggressively when it starts pulling back. Okay, so there's different ways to use these tools. That's how this one's not using that idea, but you could. All the 9s is just a way of turning these off, right? Because these are X factors that'll never happen. So to turn off the cat trailer or the 1-bar, 3-bar stop, you put a bunch of 9s in there because it's an X factor that'll never be achieved, so it never gets activated. And then it trails by 6 ticks, by the way, not 2 ticks. Here's where you set it to a 1-bar, 3-bar stop. I like the 1-bar stop. And here's where if you want to trail a cat line, you can trail a 2, a 6, a 9. You decide. You can put another cat line on your chart and have that as a trailer at a certain level. And this is where the automation is really useful. Like so many of you started with the Catapult Advanced and didn't stay with it, which I can't understand why, but maybe it's just I didn't train you guys well enough. It's a super tool, what you can do with it, what you can discover with it. Information is everything. So I'm trying to find a good example, and I'll show you how that X, you guys want to see how that 1-bar stop works? Like, here's an idea. You can see the maximum excursion getting hit and the price not going too much further. In fact, it stopped out above. So getting out at that maximum excursion with your trailer, that magenta, would have been a good idea. And here, it's kind of moot because it went further, right? But then look at the stop is almost at the exact level as that maximum excursion again. So that's where that 156 tick level comes from. But if I wanted to use advanced tools with the stop, you can try putting a 1-bar stop, say, I don't know which X factor. You can play with it or use the automation, but let's just say it at 10X. Let's see what that would have done. That might be too loose. And it's a 1-bar stop. So let's just see. See, it's trailing the 14 EMA. You can see it going up following the 14 EMA. With the 10X, it didn't get to 10X. 10X is up here, so it marks it with that little pin prick. That's pretty useful. So 10X is too big, at least just looking at this example. Why don't we make it more like a 6X and see what happens? So you could use these tools and visually see what they do. So now you can see right here is where 6X would be. And then notice that the stop moved off of the 14 EMA and started trailing 1 bar back. As each bar closes, it moves up. And that's a pretty nifty tool, using the 1 bar stop, for example. Or a 3 bar stop. It just depends on what chart you're using and what your goals are and stuff. But that's a nice way to take advantage of a spike move. Gift from the trading gods. So going back to the larger chart we looked at, all I did was copy and paste the same inputs. Remember, when you're employing power of quitting, you're really just looking to quit your session with your winner. And in this session, it would have been a break even, unless you're taking profit at target 1. But that's target 1 is still better than 1-to-1 here. You're risking 15.5. You make 16.5. Maybe on a big trade, you decide to take profit at target 1. But if not, you break even. Then this one here is a non-trade, because it went too fast. And by the time you could execute on it, it had already hit its stop. So you don't do that one. Then you got this one here. And this one, by the time it turns red, it's below. And so you're not going to be able to grab it. Now you got the long trade. And that one's going to lose. Nope, that one's the one that we just saw. It looks like it was going to lose, but it didn't. The stop actually held. And that one is the one that was the nice winner. So at first it looks like it's going to lose, but it doesn't. It wins. And that's your power of quitting trade. So you have your break-even trade, your target 4 winner, and literally within 20 minutes, you've hit your goals and you're finished. And if you're going to use a larger bar, this is probably the one you would do early in the session when you have the most action and the most range. You have the most price action, because as you get deeper into the session and things slow down, that 12-point momentum bar, or that's what a Renko is, it does slow down. So far, it's still moving really good. I mean, look, we've already done 463,000 contracts in the first 46 minutes. Crazy. But the idea, you don't want to try to do too much. It hit its power of quitting goals. Be the backpack trader. Take your money, turn off the computer, go enjoy your day. That's the idea. Power of quitting, one of the 12 essential trading powers. Power to quit trading with your money in your account instead of trying to make more and giving it back to the market. You're better off just being patient, running your trading like a business, and let your account grow over time and make more as you grow your position size with power of compounding, not by trading more. Letting the power of the trade plan compound. Obviously, this trade plan is something you would want to test and prove and go through the steps to build that foundation properly. And whether it's this or another chart or another symbol or another method, it's the same routine. Prove it first. Quit most of the sessions with a winning result and keep your trading to a minimum so you can control your drawdowns on the sessions that don't work out. That's the key, guys. That's it in a nutshell. Any questions? Is this 50 SMA a good idea or not? I don't know. It's just an idea. The bigger point I was making the strategy and the trade plan your own. And if it means finding one additional piece of information to confirm that's going to increase your win rate, you don't have to be complicated. That one extra piece can make all the difference. And it doesn't have to be anything super tricky or bizarre or custom. I mean, sometimes right out of the box is all you need. That's a simple moving average. And I know the one trader likes it. He does really well with it. With counterpunch. Catapult's different. Same principles apply, though, as far as these bigger, higher level concepts I'm bringing up with you guys. You're welcome, Andrew. All right, so let's see the 10 a.m. mini session. Crude oil's been rough this morning. This is the first day of the September contract. Did anyone move to this on Friday? I was traveling. I was actually flying. I was in the air. So I didn't even look. And also, that's the micro. Let's look at the full-size contract. I think still might trade better. I don't know. Yeah, so this first trade did go a little fast, but it stabbed down. So the first trade is a loser, and so is the second trade. Yeah, it's just a rough session for crude this morning. And I often find that the first trading day of the new contract can be dicey. This one certainly was. Friday was still August. Yeah, figured. So the first session with the new contract, pretty dicey. And this is where your trade plan rules have to keep you, from damaging yourself too much. Sometimes you just have to take your one step backwards and exit the day. And realize the best trades follow the worst, the best sessions follow the worst, and after an ugly session, you get a great session. And the winners come back, and the new equity highs return. It's okay. Can't win them all, and there's no point in trying because that's impossible, and it's not why we trade. We're not trading to win them all. We're trading to grow our accounts over time, just like a business grows. And sometimes the customer is irate and wants a refund. Doesn't mean you change your business. Just deal with it and move on to the next transaction. All right, well, it's nice to be back with you guys. I hope I gave you something worthwhile. I always appreciate you spending your time with me in the mornings. But unless there are any additional questions, I'm getting ready to say goodbye to you guys. I do have something coming up, something new. I'm really excited about it. I'm not going to divulge what it is yet. I will as I get closer. I think you're all going to be interested. But regardless, you all have something really good already. Just got to use it the right way. Follow the principles. All right, everyone, have a wonderful week. I'll see you on Wednesday. John will be here tomorrow and Thursday. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.